Hello, welcome to the GHPC developer stream. It is June 6, 2021. I am Josh Basuito, the lead developer, also known as ActionScripter. We haven't had one of these in a little while. I'm in a new place. I've got a new setup hooked up again, so if the sound is too loud, too quiet, something like that, let me know, and we'll get it sorted out. I've got Kavi with me. He is all vaxxed up and showing his face. The mystery is solved. There he is.
It wasn't really a mystery.
It was a mystery.
Find it pretty easily.
It was a mystery.
Okay.
So, yes, that's the Sabo in the background. The setup will probably get more interesting eventually, but I just moved into a cheaper place, so yeah, this is what you get. We've got some cool stuff that's happened lately. As those of you know who have downloaded the last patch, we improved performance by quite a bit, and we've got crew voices, we've got all kinds of stuff going on. We also have new things planned, and I will be talking about that a little bit coming up here. Just wanted to say right off the bat, if you like the project and you want to support us, the most effective way is Patreon. Patreon.com/GunnerHeatPC. That is how we get all of our funding. We have no publisher, we have no investors, it's all us. We've got a very small team, one full-time member, and we're doing all of this because we want to. So if you feel that you can support us, we'd really appreciate it. Okay, so upcoming plans. First of all, a big portion of our development effort for this past few weeks has gone into upgrading the game engine. We've actually moved to Unity 2020 LTS, which is a fair bit newer than what the game was running on before. You will not immediately see a difference, but it will allow us to add new things that are much better than what we had access to previously. Some new rendering tools, some other stuff that wasn't compatible with 2018 will be able to go into the game. So that's kind of expanding the ceiling of what we can do, and we're pretty excited about that. The stuff that we have been able to do so far with the new game engine is not quite ready to show, but from what I've seen so far, it's quite promising. So keep an eye out for more on that. By the way, if you want to see new teasers, hear news, the quickest way to get in the loop is to join our Discord server. You can find the link to that on gunnerheatpc.com, right on the front page or in the footer. Okay, we've got quite a few people in here.
Tons.
Yep. Russian bot, I don't think there is a way to turn on captions unless Twitch has a feature that I'm not aware of. I'm not a Twitch pro, so don't take my word for it. Alright, let's get some gameplay up while I talk about more stuff that's going on. I should be able to run the game fine and talk at the same time because we optimized it.
It's been 2 months since we last did a stream.
It has.
Big changes.
Well, the big changes since the last stream, I believe, are we added crew voices, we fixed a bunch of bugs, we optimized the game significantly. People are getting, I think, the highest frame rates they've ever had, usually, right now. And what else? Abrams was last stream, so in between there we've done a lot of housekeeping. We have been kind of preparing for the future, and that the benefits of that will come soon. We have a lot of things in the works. We've kind of slowed down showing stuff that's far in the future. Like, I'm probably not going to be doing the usual thing where I dump a bunch of model screenshots and say, hey, look at this tank, it'll show up eventually. We kind of want to get away from that. The game isn't really a tank showcase, it's not a museum. It's supposed to actually be a game, and to that end, we are trying to actually put gameplay in.
What a concept.
Yeah, right? So to try to move it away from being this very basic demo where you play the new missions and then you're done, that's all the content, we're going to add dynamic missions and a career or campaign mode. And so what that will do is that'll make the game much more replayable. It'll give us a structure to actually make some fun game mechanics, context for why you're driving tanks around and shooting at each other. And then everything that we add into that, such as IFVs, Bradley and BMP, it will have a bit more purpose than just being another vehicle you can drive around and shoot at stuff. It will start to matter a bit more what each one can do. Can it carry infantry? Can it scout? These are all things that we're going to they're going to have more meaning in the game. So that's what we're working on coming up here. Let me get a mission running.
East German voices in the works?
East German voices are in the works. We have there's two phases that happen for the voices. We have to do a research push because we have to know exactly how a particular army did their crew voices. And so in order to set that up, we have to read a lot of documents from back in the day. We have to find video footage, talk to people who were there if we can, and then once we've got an idea exactly how that stuff worked, we can actually start recording the lines, giving a script to actors, that kind of stuff. And then afterward, we have to make the voice controller accurate to how those crew commands worked. So there's kind of several steps to it. We were able to do that pretty quickly for the Abrams and the M60 because we have a lot of American tankers that we know, and it's not very hard to find that documentation. So we have to do that again for Russian, East German, West German, and it's going pretty well. We have a lot of things that we've discovered. We just have to finish, finding voice actors and doing all the work. But don't worry, that will come. Sir, you have live ordnance behind you. Yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it? It actually, it separates too.
He's showed me it separate, and I'm just like, that's neat. Cool stuff, man. What was it? We got a few people asking about the secrets that was noticed in the last build. So the last stream we did was around April Fools, and we did embed a secret in the game.
Yes.
Do you want to show that off now, or do you want to just keep it like...
It takes a second to set up. I don't know. I'll leave it as an exercise for the viewer. Play the GHPC demo and shoot some targets in the proving ground. You might get a nice challenge.
I'd go with that.
Shoot a lot of targets.
It runs so smooth now. I'm amazed.
Say again?
It runs so smooth now. I'm amazed.
Yes, it does. I'm choking my aging graphics card with running a full res stream and the game at the same time, and I'm still breaking 60 FPS, which is nice.
What changes are we going to see to thermals in the future? Looking at real life images, the difference in heat between the environment and the tank seems very exaggerated.
Thermals. Fun thing about thermals, the way that they work, we took a long time to study it before we actually added the thermals. So we know that they don't look the way they're supposed to right now. The problem is, since we are a very small team and we can't keep everybody on full time, our visual coder was not able to finish like the second draft of thermals when he wanted to. So right now we have kind of a uniform heat map. Every part of a tank is hot all the time, and there are certain things that need to be tweaked that we just haven't got to yet. that's just sort of an unfortunate thing when the team is as small as it is. It's going to take time to do some of these things. We know about them. We're just as detail obsessed as the best of you. It's not that we've missed the fact that the thermals look a little off. It's that we just haven't got to it yet. But rest assured, we know, and we're going to fix it at some point. Is there going to be multiplayer mode? Yes. One of our main goals is to get multi-crew and single crew co-op into the game soonish. End of this year, beginning of next year kind of timeline. That depends on finding a reliable multiplayer coder to help us, because if we're trying to fix up all this stuff and add all these features, we can't do network coding at the same time. There's just not enough of us, especially full-time. And that's too much for me to take on personally at once. So we're, depending on how our hiring stuff goes, you'll probably see multiplayer pretty soon. So don't worry about that either. But we're focusing on the gameplay right now, because we want, when a new update comes out, we want you guys to be able to play for a while and be entertained, and not just have it be this kind of list of missions where you try the new thing and go, okay, that's it, I'm done. And so, yeah.
Yeah, the mission list as we have it was a really cool way to get our level designer acclimated into the project and to show off kind of where we would like to take certain scenarios. And now what we're going to start focusing on is trying to have more of a data-driven approach to that, and trying to have some meta gameplay surrounding those things, objectives, different use cases for each of the units. Not just tank deathmatch, team deathmatch on every map.
I can't get the gun on. I think I've made a mistake.
You got this.
Nope, I don't got this.
Are you still working on the AI, or is it where it's going to be at? It is not where it's going to be at.
No, we
I
have
just watched two tanks dance around each other.
Yeah,
It's
we have
not-
much more work to do on AI. AI is hard. I don't know how many of you are game developers, but it's not trivial to make stuff behave like it's intelligent that's not a person. We're working on it. It'll happen. It just takes time.
The initial AI setup that we have is a bit prototype, but it can be built upon, which was the nice place, is kind of where we left it. Part of the gameplay modifications we're going to do are going to heavily rely on improving AI.
Yep.
But like I said in the Discord, even yesterday, everything in the game is not 100%. Don't be married to anything in this current iteration of the game.
Yeah, that goes for basically everything except the tanks, I think. Like terrain rendering, particle effects, especially the way the thermals look, the sky and weather system. You might notice there's no clouds. The only thing you can do is change time of day, and that's only with like a cheat mode. By the way, if you use the comma and period keys on your keyboard, you can change the time of day. So like, you gotta understand we're making this as a team, basically in our spare time, besides me. This is my job, but everybody else is just helping when they can. And so there's a lot of things that we need to keep track of and try to improve iteratively when we can find the time. And that's not going to be everything all the time, but we're getting around to it. We have new vegetation stuff that we're working on, new terrain rendering. It's going to look much better. We've got ideas about lots of other pieces. The AI is getting improved. We're onboarding a new coder, generalist, and a new terrain artist right now, and their initial work is very promising. So just stay tuned, keep following the project, you'll see some cool stuff. What other questions we got?
Some that I've answered. Some regarding new terrain, modifications to the existing terrain fidelity.
Yes. It's still going to be the same map,
Yeah.
the one that we have right now. It's just going to look better. We did all the work of doing the satellite mapping and road layouts and all this like ground painting stuff. That's all done up front. That provides us a good platform to work on visual improvements. We could replace every tree model, all the grass, all the bushes, you know. It would still be the same map, but it would be a different appearance.
Eagle-eyed players have already told us on the side of certain colors seem off, the roads have little artifacts here and there, so we're always trying to improve that.
Yeah. And remember, even though we are a small team and working part-time, we have done this stuff before. We're not new to game development, and we can see the issues that you guys see. We don't put out a patch and say, oh, look, there it is, nothing's wrong with it, you know, time to put the patch out. It's more that we don't have the time to make it completely flawless all the time. And so you're gonna find things, and some of them we don't know about. If you find a bug that's very tricky to reproduce, then maybe we haven't seen it before, but obvious stuff like, oh, the trees look off, oh, this reflection is weird, we've seen it, and you know, we'll get to it when we get to it. Speaking of bugs, there is a new way you can help us with bug reporting.
I was just about to say, and this is probably going to be the way going forward, that if you notice something glaring, it will help us a lot with priority of some of these things. So yeah, please show that off.
Yes. So in the past, we've had everybody use Discord for reporting bugs. I'm gonna put this on after action mode so it's muted. What we are going to do, let me switch this over. We have a new page that's not a Discord channel where you can report bugs and they will actually stay in a place where everybody can see which bugs have been reported, and you can do kind of a formal issue report. So here's how this works. There is a link in our Discord, and it's also pinned in the testing feedback channel, to this page that it's a GitHub issues page. This is a website that a lot of developers use for tracking their code and doing backups and merging different features together. We use it, it's very cool. But what you'll need to do is you'll need to have, I think they need an account, right?
Yes, free account.
You just make a free account on here. If you want to report a bug and you're actually serious about you know, making sure we have the right info and we can reproduce it, you get on a GitHub account, you click this new issue button, and then you'll be able to actually create a bug report. And there's kind of this this template text here that'll guide you what kind of information we need. And when it's all filled out, you can hit submit new issue, and that will go into the issues list. And then we'll be able to see it, everybody else will be able to see it, and that way you won't have to guess. Have you guys seen this thing before? Do you know about it? You'll be able to check the issues list already and see, oh, somebody else reported it. And I think they can comment, right?
They can comment, they can react to it.
Yeah.
Basically, we'd be treating this as like, if a lot of people are finding a particular issue, if it's a performance issue, if it's a weird oddity that people want fixed, that's something that we can directly take and say, okay, let's put this into our priority right now, alongside the X other number of things that we're working on.
That's right. So, this is much better than just having a Discord channel where people say, hey, this happened, and we tend to get duplicate reports, which is not your fault, you know. But when there's a bug that's maybe fairly obvious and then a lot of people try the demo, we tend to get, you know, a dozen of the same report. And this is a better system for that, I think.
Yeah. to which we will say, oh yeah, we've heard about that one before, don't worry, and then we stuff it into either Action has a Google Doc somewhere, or he makes just more Google Docs and then they get lost, or I write it on a Post-it note and then I put it somewhere else.
It's not quite that bad.
It's not that bad.
We have
he
Trello.
He does make a lot of Google Docs. But that way, it's all in one spot, and then people can let us know that this is important and it needs to be addressed.
Yes.
So please start using that. Still use testing feedback. Let us know, because not everything that is noticed may be a bug. Sometimes it's just the way the game engine decides it wants to work.
Yeah. And if you report a bug to us, we might say, that's interesting, go ahead and make a bug report. And it's not because we're lazy and we don't want to make a bug report ourselves.
I'm lazy.
It might just be because we are busy. Like, we're doing a lot of things right now in this game. We have a lot of features in the works, and we don't always have time to monitor everybody's informal bug reports on Discord. If you want to make sure that your issue doesn't get lost, the best way is to put it in the Git page.
Yeah.
And so that link is going to be pinned in that channel, or it already is.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be able to find it in the future whenever you need it, and I highly recommend using it.
All right. Got a few questions that came in
Sure.
while we went through that. Plans on adding the Leclerc or Leopard? We've had several questions on the Leopard and the Leclerc. They seem to come up every stream.
Yeah, let me briefly explain again how we add vehicles. We do vehicles based on scenarios. So what we do is we have a theater of war. In this case, the demo is based on Germany in the 1985 kind of time period, specifically in the Fulda Gap. So this map is based around Point Alpha on the border. That's just kind of the setting and the theme that we're going for now. The full game will have more options for that, and we don't have a list published of what those will be yet, but for now, just know that any vehicle we're adding in the immediate future is because it's relevant to that situation. It's something that was in CENTAG for NATO, the Central Europe group, in the Fulda area in the mid-80s, or the Warsaw Pact, East Germany, USSR. They may have had a couple other people around there, but primarily this demo is going to be US, East and West Germany, and USSR. Right now we have East Germany and US in the demo. That's just what we happen to start with. And there will be West Germany and USSR in the future. We have teased some new vehicles in Discord that will be coming. I think we showed a Leopard 1 and a T-62, and then we've also shown the BMP-1 and the Bradley at other times. Those are all still being made, but we're trying to not spend all our time just adding vehicles and not improving the game, because that's not going to be a good thing in the long run. I think we would disappoint you guys if all we did was add vehicles. Even if you think you want new vehicles and that's all you care about, it's not going to work out in the long run. The game will be much better if we put time into actually improving the way it plays and giving new features, and then add the vehicles, and they can enjoy that context much better. So if you want to know if a vehicle is being added, if it's not relevant to the Fulda Gap in 1985, then the answer is no for right now. It could be added later, maybe. If it's a vehicle from the 80s or newer, it's likely, especially if it's very common. But if it's something that wasn't used by a lot of nations, or if it's something that was never used in a near war or war scenario, if it's just some wacky thing, it's not very likely. It might take a while if it's added at all. If it's a prototype, it's not going to be added. We've kind of decided that we're going to stick with real in-service vehicles. So, if you like the MBT-70, you're kind of out of luck there. There's a lot of real tanks that we can find real info about and put in the game, and those are priority. What other questions we got?
bypassing some of the chieftain, other tanks, XYZ that you just talked about. Infantry.
Yep, infantry will be added. The issue with infantry is that it takes some time to spin up the AI controllers for them. But once they are added, they will be a key component of APCs and IFVs. You will be able to unload infantry at objectives, and then the infantry will fight automatically. They'll be AI only. But they will often be the key to winning a battle, because the objective might be to take and hold an objective. I said objective twice. So you can't do that by just parking a tank there. You have to actually get boots on the ground. And so something that carries troops will become very important for winning that mission. You have to get them to the location and then protect them while they hold it. The tanks will move from being the primary fighters, the main way that you win the battle, to being guards for the troops and trying to take out the enemy's troops. And so it'll completely shift the direction of that type of mission. So all of a sudden the heroes are the troop carriers, and just sort of upend that norm that you might have from other tank games.
Crew are important, folks are important. You want to keep them alive. You want to keep your resources alive.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least less dead.
That is correct.
Someone asks, when will fuel tanks catch fire? I think that's already a thing that we have that's programmed in with your Funnables manager.
It is... Well, okay.
Asterisk.
Yeah, the programming is there, but the fuel tanks themselves are not marked as flammable right now, because I want to do some slightly more specific stuff for fuel, since it matters how much fuel is in a tank. That's how explosive it is. And then there's stuff like leaks to worry about. So we haven't marked the fuel tanks as a flammable piece yet, because I want to have that system running properly beforehand. I don't want them to just function like ammo. That would be weird. So for now, they're inert. Once I code them correctly, once that's high enough on my to-do list to actually work on, instead of adding gameplay features, then they'll be damageable. This shot went into the gun barrel and bounced
I think
around.
I just answered this correctly, but I'm gonna bring it up here. Will other fronts be added, like Korea? And we've talked internally about this. If we get successful and bring on more people or get more funding, we would love to do more theaters with vehicles unique to those theaters.
Yes.
I think it would be really cool to have specific European, Middle Eastern, Asian theaters, and any of those. And even the stuff that doesn't get a lot of play because they're not considered the fun, cool, noteworthy combined arms battles. I think it would be really cool to do.
Yes. The Fulda Gap is not going to be the only theme of Gunner Heat PC. It is the theme we chose for the demo. The early efforts that we're doing, just making the game, it seemed like a nice, well-rounded choice. There will be more, and as some of you already know, the game isn't always going to be free. It's going to eventually be a paid game. You'll buy the game and you'll get a bunch of content just automatically. You won't have to grind out all your vehicles. But in order to make that worthwhile, we'll want to have more stuff than just what you see here. It's not going to be, 4 tanks and Germany. It's going to have more stuff. So we're just starting smaller for now because, again, very small team.
Yeah.
What we're doing right now is already ridiculously ambitious, and in order to pull it off, we have to be realistic about our capabilities. Start small, free demo to get people interested, and we go from there.
Will the game be more like DCS in terms of matchmaking? I think that's a little too early to tell. We might have some sort of system like that in place, but we really want to focus more when multiplayer comes around at the co-op aspect of things. You and a group of people, or a group of similarly skilled people, dropping into a team or a set of tanks, being able to multi-crew one, and then going about a set of missions together.
Yeah, we don't know exactly what all of that will look like yet because it's
Right.
too far in the future. We know that we're going to do certain things like co-op and multi-crew, but it wouldn't be any use for us to say exactly how it'll work right now because we could make it that way and then change our minds, and then all of the speculation we've done is useless. So just wait and see.
What's different in the new Unity version to which you upgraded?
There are a lot of subtle changes and then just stuff being compatible with the new Unity version that isn't available in the current one. Tools that we want to use for making the game look better and run better. Some of them are just not built for the older version of Unity. The both Unity themselves, with their regular engine upgrades that they do every year, and third-party tool creators, all have kind of moved on, and Unity 2020 is the best bet right now to get all the full opportunities for doing that stuff.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of an interesting dilemma. A lot of game engines are optimized for small levels and first-person shooter kind of stuff. If we were making a shooter, it would be extremely easy compared to what we're doing, but we are pushing into territory where you really need to be careful how you're using the game engine.
Mm-hmm.
And this would be true no matter what game engine we're in. I don't want to make it sound like it's just Unity. We're putting a lot of demand on the engine. We have this detailed simulation running for every vehicle. We have all these models, all these internal components, like all these systems interacting and running at the same time. And so we have to really be careful how that's coded, how we make the assets, what kind of rendering we use, and we will have a lot better time with that in the newer version of Unity, and we'll be able to get better results for it too.
Yeah. We've had back and forth conversations with third party tool developers seemingly every other week to say, hey, we found an issue. And they say, oh, well, for the newest Unity, it's all fixed. And when we tell them we were using the 2018 Unity version, we'd all have a good laugh. And then they tell us, you should probably upgrade. So it's been a long time coming to get us to this point, but this is going to open us up to use more tools and to help with our workflow as well.
Yes. There will be good results from it. Everything takes time.
Yes. Along that note, though, with the funding that we've received over the last couple of months, and thank you to patrons who
Yes.
have helped, oh my god, thank you, we have been able to reach out and grab new people. We're starting to vet new folks to assist the constant problem of only Action is doing a lot of work full time. So that's going to be able to ramp up we're going to be able to say less of, oh, we're a small team and we only have one full-time person working. We're going to start seeing more of, oh, we have more people working in parallel on these issues. So that's going to mean the game gets worked on faster, more features get out, we get more feedback more quickly, and then we can iterate more quickly on that.
Yes. We're very grateful for the increase in funding lately. It just takes a moment to get the results from that spooled up.
Mm-hmm.
We've hired new people, we're getting them onboarded, as I mentioned before, and the early results are very promising. If you keep following the project, you will see how things develop from that.
So the meme of Action's 48-hour coding sessions has a grain of truth, but I want to just say this right now. Action does not have a basement. He is not locked in a basement for his coding sessions. So
No, I'm voluntarily locked in and upstairs.
that's right. That's right.
Someone had a question a second. Oh yeah, will we keep using Unity or switch to a different engine? This comes up a lot because
Surprisingly, it does.
a lot of people have an awareness that there are different game engines, but if you're not a game developer, you wouldn't have any way to know kind of what that means. I just want to say once, as I've said before, we're not going to be switching game engines because switching game engines is huge. It is we basically have to restart the entire game. There would be very few things that we could carry over as they are. It would be a ridiculous amount of work, and we would not get enough tangible benefits from it to make it worthwhile. It's pretty much out of the question. You can do about anything you want with any game engine. You need to know how to use the engine properly, and you need to put in the work. The issue that Unity has is it's very easy to get into, so a lot of amateur developers will use it, and the Unity logo is plastered all over it because in the free version you have to have that splash screen that says this is made with Unity. So what happens is you get a lot of Unity projects that are very clearly kind of amateurish, and everybody knows they were made with Unity, and it's developed this reputation for being an engine that's not very capable or has these problems. And it has problems, every engine does, but not to the point where we can't do what we need. We would be facing issues if we were using Unreal too. It's just the nature of making a complicated simulation game. There's no engine that's a magic bullet for that. We just have to do a lot of work.
Yeah. I've said this before in the Discord, but I would actively consider switching engines if any of those publishers / studios or engine developers just turned around and gave us this gigantic sack of money with a dollar sign on it. Because that's what's going to facilitate the change. Like getting more people and also vetting the engine to make sure it actually does what we want it to do. Right now, there's really no reason to switch to anything.
Yeah, let's say Epic came to us tomorrow and gave us an obscene amount of money to switch to Unreal. We'd probably consider it. But otherwise, there's no reason.
We wouldn't say yes, absolutely. We'd consider it. But like, that is what it is.
And that's not greed. We need money to pay people to convert the game over to a new engine.
Yeah.
That
it's
would
just
be
being realistic to our needs as both people and developers.
Anyway, just assume that it's not ever going to happen.
Yeah.
There's no reason to switch engines.
5 Kavi coins to switch to Unreal. That is not enough Kavi coins. I'm sorry. The Kavi coin is very strong in the States right now.
Somebody asked, are we going to make the Fulda Gap more in keeping with a World War setting? Burning buildings, abandoned cars, artillery, etc. Yes. The game, as you see it right now, is in early development. This is not the way that it will look when it's done. It will have more stuff. The stuff that it has will look better. This is just a very basic starting point for us.
Yeah. So
we have the area mapped out, but we have this kind of basic terrain rendering. We have placeholder assets. It's going to be different, and we're going to dress it up. We're going to have other stuff, other scenery, set pieces. There will be maybe some destruction, depending on how that goes. And it will look like there's a war going on when the game is done. Remember, this is very early on. Small team, we're doing something huge, and it takes time to get everything the way that we want.
Will live weather be in the plans?
It is in the plans.
Yep.
We have to get around to it, and we have to select which specific features we want. We have to code it. Just know that we're working on it. It's one of those things that it's not immediately super important, but we do want to add it. When are T72 and M1 going free? I don't know. If you want to play them right now, it's only $3 to get access to the Patreon demo, $3 a month. You know, you might as well try it. At some point, there will be like a big free demo. That was our plan, I think. Unless that changes, it's possible that we would shift to doing some kind of early access thing, or like on Steam or something. But for now, just assume there are going to be things that are locked to the Patreon demo. The coolest tanks or some feature that everybody wants, because we have to have some incentive, right? We could just ask nicely, hey, support us and buy the Patreon. But we want to use a few more tricks than that to get people to pay in, because if we don't have money to make the game's not getting made. It's not. We're not trying to be mean. We can't do it without the Patreon.
Yeah.
So we want to provide that incentive.
If we do more Patreon-based incentives, they'll probably stay Patreon-based up until we do the vertical slice release for everyone. Do a massive content push for the public build, because at that point, that's going to be the thing that's going to be a base for all of our other gameplay enhancements, and what we'll use to ship around to conventions, other folks in the industry, try and get more information, try and get funding from them, because this is just the seed of what we want to grow. We want this to become bigger and better. Like Action Set, not out of greed, just because out of making games takes cash. Guys.
Yeah, it's very expensive. There was a time when it was just my kind of side project that I messed with from time to time after work, when I could get away with asking people for free help and using free assets. That worked fine for a while. We're trying to make a serious game, though, a simulation game, and people who have the skills to produce work up to our standard costs money. They want to be paid for their skills, as they should. And we can't do that unless we have serious funding coming in. I'm actually amazed that we've done what we have so far. So again, if you want to see us succeed, consider supporting us on Patreon. Patreon.com/GunnerHeatPC. That is how this project lives. And all of that money gets reinvested. Besides paying my rent, all that money gets reinvested into the project.
It allows you to live.
Yeah.
But there were two really good questions that came up, both by the same person, Escapist004. When are Soviet forces going to be joining the game? Do we have a timeline on that?
We have a loose timeline, but not one that I want to share right now in case we change our minds, because we have done that before. I think we teased the Bradley and the BMP too early because we thought we were going to put them in imminently, and then we decided that there were some other things that were more important. I don't want to keep doing that and disappoint people, so just know, as we've teased some of those vehicles already, you know that there are USSR and West German content coming. I'm just not going to say when we want them to be in, because it could change. It could get later, it could get earlier. We'll let you know when we're pretty sure. That's been our practice most of the time, is to try not to be too specific, because we don't want to put the pressure on ourselves unreasonably, where, oh man, we promised everybody that we were going to add this thing this month, and now there's this problem, or we really should be doing this instead. Now we're backed into a corner. It's very easy to avoid that. We just don't make promises. We work on things, we prioritize as the situation develops. We're always working on something. This is not it's not us being like lazy or sloppy. There is so much stuff to do. The to-do list is massive. We just reprioritize and shuffle things around based on who's available, what we're able to contract out, and what we can work on ourselves in a given patch cycle.
Along that note, another question from Escapist. Large-scale missions. They would like to do a mission that takes more than 10 minutes at a time, ideally. So I know that Steel Beasts can sometimes have like missions where they take like 2 hours or something to that effect, right?
Yeah. If I recall correctly, our plan is to have a variety, because some people want just quick action. It's kind of gratifying to park on a hill with an M1A1 and blow a bunch of T-72s up, like in the very early demo. But there is a place for longer missions and more tactical consideration, and that lets you use a completely different kind of gameplay style and kind of do some planning and be clever. So we want to do both. We want to have content that will allow you to do both kinds of pace, and hopefully there will be something for everyone in there.
will there be regimental scale battles, or would that be too high of a unit count? That might be something cool to prototype.
Yeah.
I think it's too high at the moment, but that's
really,
something that we could probably commit to at the moment in our current.
Yeah, definitely can't commit to it. We've tested pushing the limits of how many vehicles can be in a mission. There are a lot of considerations that go into that. You have to have, without getting too into the weeds on the technical details, you have to render efficiently and you have to code efficiently to support a lot of vehicles at once. The rendering, we've pretty much got down. We have some clever tricks we've used. We can probably do a lot of vehicles on screen at once without really screwing things up. The coding part, since we have so much detail going on and we have a lot of things running to make those systems work, they need to be revisited and made more efficient. And since we don't know what level of efficiency we'll be able to achieve, we can't say how many vehicles is the maximum. We just don't know yet. Remember, this game is in active development. It is in an early state. Most games you don't even see gameplay of when they're this early, but since we're a small team and we rely on people to be interested and give us money while we're working on it, we have to show everything that we're doing. Well, I guess we don't have to. We could be like certain indie projects where we just make a CGI trailer and then go dead for 3 years and then hope it works, but we've chosen to show everything that we're doing. We want you to see what your money's doing. We want you to see that we're serious and that we're making progress. And I think that's the right call, personally, but it also means that you'll see these things that are not at their best yet. Remember, the game used to run worse than it does now, and that wasn't because that's the way it was going to be. It's because we hadn't got to optimizing, and we will be further optimizing, as you know. So this cycle of making a game, it keeps developing, it keeps improving. There's setbacks and advances, and you get to see all of it because we've chosen to be very open about our development. So how many vehicles? I guess we'll find out together.
Shout out to King Rora on the stream. Thank you for adding probably the first non-team member public issue. We'll get that worked out for you.
Oh, we've got an issue?
Yep.
Is it like a link to a Rickroll, or is it an actual issue?
It's an actual. He has steps and everything.
Oh wow, nice. Thank you, King Aurora. That was a king move. What other stuff? Will there be an update after this stream? No. There will be one soon. We're considering releasing an update that just switches the game engine to the new version of Unity and doesn't really do much else. But we have to do some final testing on it. Don't expect anything big just yet. Remember, we just released an update, what was it, the 31st? Yeah. So, usually we'll release 2 updates a month, I think is our custom. Oh wow, this one got hit while the flap was open. We usually do 2 patches a month. It tends to happen at the beginning or end, and then in the middle. No, it's not guaranteed, that's just how it kind of has worked out so far. So since we did one at the very end of May, we're not due for another patch for a bit here, and that gives us time to finalize more things that we've been working on, figure out which ones are ready. I've been putting a lot of time personally into onboarding new team members, or contractors I should say. Because of the bump in funding, I'm trying to put it to good use and take some of the load off of myself and off of the other team members who only have so much time because they're all part-time. So yeah, no patch today, and we will let you know when it's ready.
Is there anything else like big that we can address right now? Factions?
Factions. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. That's a new feature from the most recent update, I believe. When you play missions now, you get to pick red or blue. You used to be able to just tab through every vehicle in the scene, and that was cool sometimes, but it's not very game-like. It really makes it feel like a sandbox or a tech demo. So one of the most basic things that we did to start moving it more toward a game was make it so you have to choose your team before you play, and then you're locked to that side during the mission. That's I know some people didn't like that, but hey, that's how it goes. It's a game. You can't always do everything. Have cheats or whatever. And we'll be developing the systems more so that it's less clunky, because right now it is still very basic mission setups. I don't know if I mentioned that we're doing dynamic missions soon. We have a project going. One of our features we're working on is to make the missions not the same every time, and to have them be they kind of follow a template or a loose directive. Go here, attack this place, and then you don't know exactly how it's going to be until you get into it. The intel can change every time you play it. The positioning of stuff, maybe certain units or the way they react are different, and you won't be able to sort of memorize the mission. That's a problem with the current build, is that all the missions are always the same. And while there is a place for that kind of scenario, it's not really engaging. There's not a lot of replay value in it. So this is one of the things that we're going to be doing to kind of enhance that and get rid of that problem. And that will be in service of campaign mode, which is coming as well. That will run on dynamic missions, so we have to kind of have them made before we get there. So this is all part of the plan to get GHPC from a demo with a handful of skirmish missions to an actual game. I think that will be very exciting when it's in. Perfect idea. Go to a lottery and win the lottery with the Patreon money. I'm sure all the patrons would appreciate me using the Patreon money for lottery tickets. That sounds like the best investment.
I told them I'd rather you put it into Bitcoin.
I also don't want to do that.
I don't want you to do that. But if you came to me and were like, yo, here's my lottery idea, I'm like, hold up.
What's the point of putting it into Bitcoin if you can't also make tweets to manipulate the market and get a return on your investment? Anyway, what else do we got? Is there modding support planned? Many games are still alive mostly due to good modding support. But notice, those games came out as complete games before they got modding support. It would be very early for us to be talking about modding support right now. The game isn't even done yet. So I'm not going to say no, but don't expect anything about mods anytime soon. Right now we're still trying to establish our own identity as a game, and it would be counterproductive at least to put in mod support right now or anytime soon.
In the future, are you guys planning to add features like active and passive protection systems?
Yes.
Like ERA and or trophy?
Yeah, there was ERA in the very early demo. It's been lost to the ages. But any system that's important to the offensive or defensive capabilities of a vehicle, we tend to model that. So the weapon systems, fire control systems, as you know, ERA and active protection fall under that umbrella as well. If a vehicle had a certain kind of passive or active protection system, we will model that. Right now, we're dealing with vehicles from the mid-'80s. Active protection systems existed, kind of, in prototype. There was Drozd, probably something else too, but they were not common, and they were certainly not available in this area, this theater, at this time. ERA was. There will be ERA, but APS wasn't a thing yet, really. Once we get into the 90s and the 2000s and pick a more modern conflict, it will be more relevant to see systems like that. You'll see Stora. If we get into really modern stuff, you'll see Arena and that kind of stuff. So, yeah. So no boiling vessel for British tanks. I didn't say that there couldn't be anything that wasn't offensive or defensive systems. I think adding the boiling vessel in the British vehicles is one of the first requests I ever got when I was working on this in 2018, I want to say, maybe 2019, and I said yes at the time. So, I don't want to go back on my promise. We'll try to make sure the boiling vessel is in the damage model.
Will there be RNG for shell accuracy?
Technically, there already is. There's a very small gun dispersion on most guns. It's extremely small right now. You can't really notice it much. That can be adjusted as we validate our ballistics info. If we look up what are the stats on this gun system, I think a lot of them we haven't really been too particular about. We just give it a very tight spread and roll with it. But if I look up maintenance tables for the 2A46 and I find out that it had this many mils of dispersion, I'll go ahead and adjust that, and that is RNG. It's not really RNG that affects much because guns tend to be pretty accurate within combat ranges, but it's there. Let's run another mission. Will there be barrel morphing mechanics? I'm assuming you mean due to heat, warping. I don't think we're going to bother with that much detail. It's not out of the question, but I don't know. In all the things that we need to handle right now, that doesn't feel very important to me.
Yeah, it's like one of those nice to haves that I think we have listed somewhere in our vertical slice planning, but down the line. Run the twin T-72 mission where you defend the hill against an M60 platoon.
BTR, that is a very challenging mission. I feel like that's why you're asking for it. You want to see me fail. And I recommend that you...
Yes!
Good answer. I'll run that next. I gotta get myself psyched up first by, bullying a bunch of East German T-72s. Any physics on the turrets and barrels, so you can't swing the turret around in a forest because of the barrel hitting a tree. Don't count on it. That's very difficult to do in a stable way, especially when multiplayer comes in. There is a reason that most games skip barrel collisions. It's not because they didn't know that barrels had physical presence. It's because it's basically asking for physics bugs.
It'd be relatively cool to get custom scenario down the line with vehicles that were designed by the devs just to see what we had in our minds. The majority of the vehicles we have in our minds are real vehicles, so you just get the missions that we have right now. Though, I think last night you guys were talking about helicopters. Just a ton.
Will there be RNG for penetration values for each shell fired? So far there's not. I don't know if it would make sense to put that in. We tend to be pretty deterministic about that. I'm not going to rule it out, but I don't really see the point right now. What's with all the RNG questions? Does it matter? Does it make a difference in the game? Like, I'm not really sure what the point is.
Some people like RNGs.
Or don't like RNG? I don't know. Why are you asking? I'd like to know. Will you add features such as AP-FSDS rounds shattering? Well, Mishan, if you fire at the upper glacis plate of an Abrams right now, you will notice that the 3BM15 does actually shatter, and it says shattered in the damage log. So no, we will not add that because it's already added.
Right now, barrel collisions, really like small detail minutia things, they typically take ahead of time that will logically be put or have a better use case if it's towards the gameplay stuff we want to work on. So, unless it's a glaring error or a performance issue, we probably won't set things down to work on those things in the immediate.
My tank got screwed up.
Your driver's killed.
Yep.
Can you just, like, play better?
Make me.
Do you want me to sit in? Do you want a master gunner to
No.
show you how this works?
No. They can't handle your master gunnery.
I know. One of these days I'll run the stream. You guys will see. But let action do its thing.
It's time for the M60 to save the day.
Said nobody.
Wait, don't I have an Abrams too? Oh, I don't.
Are crews configured differently between vehicles? I noticed M1 crews really stay inside their vehicles for a long time, while T-72s keep getting abandoned rather quickly.
That is mostly due to the survivability of the M1. But there is another issue, which is that I believe on the M1 the hatches don't work yet. So when they do abandon, you might not notice unless you're actually playing that vehicle and you see the message that says crew bailed out. It's less common to get catastrophically ammo wrecked, like fire in the compartment in the Abrams though, because of the ammo doors and all that stuff.
Hunter-killer system for the multi-crew?
Yes. Especially for tanks that had commander overrides. Or rather I should say only for tanks that had commander overrides. You will see hunter-killer capabilities. Right now we have, I think the Abrams and the M60 both have commander override, and we let you hit spacebar to make the commander take over when he sees something. Oh, okay. I just won. So, right now there is a little bit of hunter-killer stuff, but that's single player, it's not quite the same. Multiplayer, if the tank had hunter-killer abilities, you will have that as well. I feel like there was something else. Oh yeah, BTR wanted to see me suffer.
I think everyone wants to see you suffer.
Yeah. If you want to see me suffer, at least subscribe on Patreon first, you know, make it worth my while. Let's get to the T-72. See if I last more than 5 seconds. GHPC OnlyFans when? What do you think the Patreon is? No, where's my crew voices? Yep. Should have seen that coming. I would say things are not going well for this T-72. Alright, well, you satisfied?
Can you try and be better? Like, that was, I don't know. I don't know what to think about that.
Look, I'm gonna show you my master gunnery. Where's player? There we go. Look, I contributed to this battle. That dirt is very dead.
Whoa. Alright. Got a badass over.
Try telling me it's alive.
No,
it's not.
No, you win.
Yeah,
You're
that's what
right.
I thought.
I'm in the wrong.
Yep. So yeah. As you can see, all packed forces have been neutralized. Mission successful. I don't know what more you want. Gunner AP dirt. Yep, that's right. By the way, is the stream quality a little better this time? I messed around with some settings. It shouldn't be 480p anymore.
Looks good on my screen, the way I'm looking at it. I got Margaret at home watching on a big ass TV, and she says it looks great.
Oh, cool. Hi, Margaret. All right, let's start wrapping it up soon.
Yeah.
As usual, we are going to chill in the patrons channel on Discord after the stream. That's what we do. That's our custom. People who are contributing to the funding of the project get some extra benefits, not least of which is the demo with the Abrams and the T-72. But also, they get better access to the team. We chat a lot more in the patron channels. We do post-stream hangouts, and we show teasers. As I mentioned before, we're trying to get away from just showing endless teasers of everything all the time for stuff that's not ready yet. So don't expect us to show a lot of stuff today, but you'll still get to hang out and do the usual thing.
You should leak one thing on the stream. You should leak one thing.
On the stream?
On the stream. You should leak one thing.
Not saved for the patrons?
I mean, leak another thing for the patrons. You should leak one thing now, I think.
I could do a pseudo leak on the stream.
Pseudo leaks are good.
Something that we haven't shown in teasers, but we have shown to the patrons. But maybe we'll show it to the stream.
Yeah. Do that.
All right, let's do that.
They've sat with us making fun of you this entire hour. I think we should get something.
It's time to reward them for that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's true. They've done their part. Now we'll do ours. All right. What will we do here? Let's try a little hint of something that's coming. You know, I know you guys know the BMP is coming, but it's not just the one. We've got the 1P as well. I'm getting fancy with it.
It's very fancy.
It is. And of course, you know about the Malyutka King. So that's just one thing that's in the works. I don't want to show too much though. The more spicy stuff is for patrons.
Yep.
That's how it goes.
There. Streamers, I did my part. I got them to show you a thing. Watch us more often.
Yeah.
And we'll stream more often, maybe.
Oh, something that's changed since the last stream. There is a category on Twitch now for GHPC. We are able to get it registered as existing. There's a process you have to go through, and we did that. So if you stream GHPC on Twitch, we'd really appreciate it if you tagged it as GHPC, because that helps build up kind of a presence online. It's very difficult to do when you don't have an advertising budget, which we don't. All the money goes into development. And on that note, we've had some very nice assistance from YouTube, the YouTube community, especially somehow the War Thunder YouTubers seem to like GHPC, I guess because they like tanks. And so I want to give a shout out to those of you who have made videos about GHPC for free. We haven't sponsored anybody yet. It's just been done out of kindness and enthusiasm. That's been very helpful, and we love that, and it gives us more exposure, brings people in the project. That's good stuff. If you want to make a video about GHPC, we can give you a key for the unrestricted version of the game, audience level dependent. And so, yeah, that's good stuff. We'd like to see more of that. do a pinned dev AMA on r/tankporn. Yeah, we'll explore all kinds of different options then.
I think you'd be pretty good at that.
Yeah.
You're already pretty good at just being weird on Reddit.
That was basically my job. Okay. I think we've covered pretty much everything for now. So, subreddit when? We have a subreddit. Nobody uses it, but it's there.
Yeah. Website planned soon. We have a website.
Nobody uses it, but it's there.
No, people use that. We just have to put more blogs on it.
It's actually r/gunnerheatpc, Sir Lance. I think GHPC exists, but it redirects or something.
Someone picked it up and we asked them to link to the official one. And they were kind enough to do so.
Yep.
But yes, either one you go to, you should be able to get to the correct one.
Yes.
Weeb skin loot boxes soon. There will be no loot boxes.
Yeah, loot boxes are kind of the devil.
There will be, let me reiterate, there will be no loot boxes.
You can clip this. We're not putting loot boxes in Gunner Heat PC.
For the question, Weeb skin loot boxes soon, there will be no loot boxes.
Half the reason that we started this project was because we don't like the way other games work for monetization. Loot box is pretty much the last thing that would ever show up, so you can take that to the bank.
Yeah. The other half of that sentence, maybe, but loot boxes, no.
Yeah. Weeb good, loot box bad. You heard it here first. Okay. Yeah, that's all I got. So thank you everyone for coming to the stream. Those of you who are on Patreon, we will be on Discord to hang out. If you want to see the project succeed, and if you want to be in the super secret club with the other patrons, patreon.com/gunnerheatpc. It's $3 a month to get the unrestricted demo, and you hear all the news first. Thank you, everyone. What?
One more question before we jet.
Okay.
Ferry Farran. Is there a problem using modern copyrighted vehicles for commercial purposes like the game we're making? Do we have to ask for permission or have to take any kind of measure in order to get around those problems?
Why would you bring that question to my attention?
I would bring that question to your attention because I think it's a noteworthy question.
Okay, well, current case precedent seems to imply that you do not need to ask for permissions to depict military vehicles. That is the answer I'm going with. Very dangerous question. Thank you, Kavi. All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming to the stream. We will see you around.
Bye-bye.